So this is a podcast called Punctual and Prompt. It's about the critical conditions of wasting our time. This episode is called Random People, and what I perceive to be a random person, who is someone who is not being processed through the system, who doesn't exist in a mental prison, um, someone who can't change their thought process through drugs or through the system itself. If you are in the system, then it means that you're defaulting, and by definition, if you have a mental health issue, if if you do drugs, then you are defaulting. So I also see a lot of older people, a lot of people from the last generation who had ideal situations, really redundant, conform problems. They had normal problems, okay? So I don't understand why their lives were so easy to figure out and how they screwed it up in the end. But the point is that they had these perfect scenarios. And I see that because I was born right on the fence, down below I can see all the fucked up kids, and I can see above me all the really irresponsible adults. And it's either make or break it. It's not worth it. And the whole wonder of this podcast is that, you have to wonder, are they wasting your time? Are they wasting our fucking time? In retrospect, we care about our ancestors, and we have an ongoing condition that will hurt the people around us. But I also see new conditions. And within these new conditions, um, there's like a power struggle between these territorial women and their possessions, but they get confused when it comes to the subject of man, and man is a failure. The subject of man in itself is a failure, and man has all the power. And I see a lot of fearful adults who are afraid of men, and it's because of what they can do with their power, and they're trying to call them out and take away that idea. And I suppose it's up to the territorial woman to, try to hold the family together. Because, you can't take away a woman's possessions, but you can take away the power of a man. And so what this all boils down to is hypocrisy. The failure of man is being dismantled by the people who want to contradict him and put him in a state of denial. I've done a lot of paces. I've walked this hallway a dozen million times, and I've heard voices, people trying to put thoughts in my head that are not mine. But in my favor, I have a psychology problem that is so deep and complex to me, it prevents me from contradicting myself. Um, and I would know what a hypocrite is, just like any of you who haven't put it into context yet. Because we have souls, and a soul is basically the problem here. I mean, I see kind of like the souls in kind of a metaphor for kind of like a fucked up phone. You people have some fucked up phones. Like I said, I'm schizophrenic. I know a lot of you people have fucked up phones. But we can't have our souls until we get rid of the control factor. So I see kind of like this transgression, where people are pissed off against man, and man is being controlled, and now we don't have souls. And it's really not that big of a problem in perspective to time and space. If you go to like another place, it doesn't matter if someone's trying to control you or take away your soul or fucking up your phone. But let's go back to the soul's problem. The, the idea behind a fucked up phone, I guess you could say, is that you don't have the ability to say the things that you want to tell yourself. And you can tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself, but the idea is that God, the creator doesn't want you to say certain things to yourself. So, irrelevant to the people problem, it's in their head. It's in their head that they're controlling you. It's in their head that they're trying to contradict you and take away man's power. Because It's just a matter of perspective, a matter of consequence, and we're kind of you know being punished because of what people want to do to us. And once we get rid of the control problem, the control is the issue. If we can get people to stop trying to control people, we'll have our souls back. So I have come up with a concept for fixing your phones and getting rid of the control, because the people who are controlled, the men who still have power, the hypocrite, the ones who actually are hypocrites. And by the way, if you ever contradict yourself and you're being faced with this terror that you magically contradict, you know what the Native Americans told me was that you can say whatever the fuck you want to. It doesn't matter if you contradict yourself. I think that really means that you're a subjective hypocrite, and that's what my concept is based around. Fixing our phones and getting your souls back is basically about a concept I have called objective hypocrisy versus subjective hypocrisy. So, objective hypocrisy, in context, is about people who talk really fast, people who put men in a situation that they don't want to be in, and they're confronting you and making you feel like your manhood's being dismantled, I guess. That's objective hypocrisy. Those are the people who are taking away, wasting our fucking time. And subjective hypocrisy is more romantic. It's based on the idea that you can kind of figure out what people are going to say. Rip the words. I've been using this term in my brain. I haven't quite put it into context for myself, but I just rip the words out of people's mouths. It's a little bit slower, but just try to figure out what people are saying before they say it. And that's an ideal. That's an ideal manifestively. If you can figure out how that applies to, if you can apply it to your way of thinking, to just rip the words out of people's mouth, then I suppose that would be one way of fixing the whole soul caliber issue. So I want to add one more thing about the contingency of our souls. Let the people who have power figure that out. It's not something we need to be concerned with, and we are concerned. So I want you to put it in the forefront of your mind that people are lying about everything. They do not know what they're talking about. They're always going to waste your time. There's no such thing as objectivism. There's no such thing as subjectivism. And I hope I got my point across from point A to point B. That's where you need to be.